Mr. Titus Welliver, it's a pleasure to meet you.
How are you, Sean? Let's see who's the bigger nerd here. Let's have a conversation.
Let's do
I,
it.
I I know you live in Nerdtropolis, but I'm in an adjacent Nerdtropolis myself. So let's get it on, man.
I love hearing that. But congratulations on delivering one of the best shows in television history. Is it really over? Because I don't think I can live without this show.
Oh man, I know saying ain't so, Joe, but it's you never know. Look, Hollywood is a strange and tricky world to navigate. So, never say never. And if the question I'm being asked a lot is, where would I be willing to come back to this? And the immediate answer is yes, in whatever shape or form that takes. Um, there are plenty more stories of Harry's to tell, and I think there's certainly an audience for that. And, we'll see. We shall see.
That is true. We followed Harry Bosch through so many twists and turns over the years. And looking back on your journey as Bosch, when you first stepped into his shoes, did you imagine this character would be such long running and just a big, big part of your life?
Well, I think that, I've been doing this long enough that you have to take it one day at a time or one season at a time. I think initially, I was asked on the first day of shooting by Michael Connelly, how long do you see yourself playing this character? And I said, I'll play him as long as they'll have me. And so I think in the back of our minds, we were thinking, well, maybe 3 seasons, maybe four. If we're lucky, things tend to kind of run their course or become a casualty of something. And so to get to play this character for a decade is really anomalous in this world. So I'm forever grateful for the opportunity, and I feel like this final season, while it was not intended as a final season, and as Harry Bosch, there's no closure for the audience, but as Harry Bosch would say, closure is a myth, right? So you do what you can, and what our writers did was, despite the success, nobody ever rested on their laurels. I mean, each season was an attempt to try to continue to challenge and to elevate the world that Michael Connelly so brilliantly created.
In a world that's really, one and done for TV, it's amazing to see you in this role for so long and so many seasons. This season has a lot going on. Was there anything in the script that surprised you when you first read it?
Well, I always have the conversations. I mean, in the season prior to when we start, we're already talking about ideas for the next season. Which books should we use? Then how many? What are the B plots? What are the C plots? So you have a sense of it. But I always refer to the experience of doing the show with each, when I would receive drafts of the scripts, it's kind of like having a Harry Bosch advent calendar. Each door I would open as a script, right, would reveal some wonderful gift and exponentially regenerate my excitement and anticipation.
They didn't give me all the episodes for this final season. I think they only gave me 8. I'm like, where's the rest? I need the rest. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm itching to get through it. And having filmed so many scenes over the years, is there one moment, maybe a certain season, where they're emotional, hilarious, or unexpected that really stuck with you?
Yeah, there's several, but I will say the season where Harry confronts his mother's killer, that was a particularly poignant moment, because it's basically it's the source of what's informed everything about Harry, right? The death of his mother at age 12, which then he, because she was a marginalized part of society, being a sex worker, her case was not investigated. So there was that. And once again, right, it doesn't really offer him closure. There was when Maddie, when Eleanor was killed, that was you know, particularly heavy material to work through. The scenes between Harry and Maddie have always been some of the most rewarding and incredibly great scenes. And working with Madison Lintz is an enormous gift for me. And to watch her growth and evolution as an artist has been a wonderful thing to behold and participate in. Um, and I think also certainly the moment in which Maddie was abducted in the previous season, when Harry goes to the coroner's and she the body that they have at the coroner's office fits the description of Maddie. And Harry, the moment when Harry leaves the coroner's office, the realization that it's not her, but also, and I felt that that was very, very important, because he is a very internalized character. He's not emotionally demonstrative. But as a parent, one of the things that I said to the writers, and it was not a hard sell, was you have to see this guy unravel. We have to see a guy go down to the most primal howl of that one can experience. And I think also in her rescue as well, the moment when he finds her, there was that. And in this season, there's sort of a return, almost in a way, to, because of this case that Harry is hired to find this family that has vanished into thin air, the discovery of them, of which he knows. I think that's the hardest part, is that Harry knows from the get-go that they didn't drive to Mexico. And there's that through line that's there. So when he discovers the bodies, and then how that manifests inside of him, right? This is a guy who did not have a family, did not have a childhood. And any detective will tell you that all the cases affect them. Any murder cop will say they carry certain things, but the cases that trouble them and haunt them the most are cases that involve children. So there's that. And then how does that manifest? At what you see, you question. Harry looks so deep into the darkness in that case, is so profoundly affected by that. What is he going to do? And particularly when he discovers who the person is who's committed this heinous crime, to what end? Will we see him compromise his moral compass? Will he be an avenging angel, right? Which he's been accused, which was started in the first season, when he was being the police department, and he was being sued by Honey Chandler for the Flores case. So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot, but those kind of stand out. And of course, also the killing of Paul Calderon's character, is, as we see the seedlings of that relationship, which has always been slightly contentious, and they've always had a kind of wariness, despite the fact that they're contemporaries, they work in similar ways. You see the gestation of a personal relationship starting to form, and then it's taken away. So not only does the audience never get to see that seen through and realize, but Bosch, and there's a he's carrying that.
Yeah, great storytelling from the get-go. And I was never familiar with the books. And now I want to go back and kind of read them. That's what the show does for everybody. But, the legacy of Bosch wouldn't be complete without acknowledging the late Lance Reddick. And I bring this up because I actually had the honor of attending that beautiful celebration of life at their house. I didn't get to introduce myself while I was there when I saw you, but I always try to shine a light on Lance Reddick when I can, because he was my first in-person interview, and the 15 minutes I had with him changed my life. And so I wanted to ask you, what's one memory working with Lance that stays with you every day?
My relationship with Lance spanned over 26 years. So I didn't meet Lance on Bosch. He was not my friend. He was my brother. I think of him having lost actual blood siblings. The loss of Lance has created a void in my heart that will never be filled. I have an abundance of fond memories of him. But working with him, um, we we worked the same way, and I think our genuine respect and affection for each other created a bond and a trust that does is not always present between actors. And because of that, I think we both used to sort of joke, and people who observed it would say that we worked harder for each other off camera than we did in our own performances. And that's who Lance Reddick was. His generosity of spirit, his humanity, and his intellect and his gift were enormous. And yeah, it's still and I think it will forever be slightly difficult to talk about him in the past tense. But but I know he's there. I feel his presence so often in my life as I do with other people who I love who have passed, and so I'm grateful for the privilege and the gift to have had that brotherhood with him, and to also be able to create art together. Aside from, and you want to talk about a nerd, he was. We used to have conversations, and in the makeup trailer, and Jamie Hector would be in there, and he would say, "What you guys are? You're talking about Spider-Man and Shang-Chi, like you talk about these guys like they're real people." And Lance and I would look at him and say, "Because they are."
Yeah. We nerded out together when we did our interview about Batman, and I asked him what live
Oh,
action. I know he's a Batman fan, so was I. What live action villain he wanted to play, and he said the Black Mask. And I know you have been part of voicing in Batman: The Long Halloween, and so if you
yeah.
could go into live action, I'm gonna wrap up with this question: who would you want to play in a live action world of Gotham?
Oh, wow. So I think the character I played in Long Halloween, although John Turturro was fantastic in that role, but I love Falcone, and he's a complex, interesting character. But there've been, and of course everybody thinks of the Joker, and there have been so many great incarnations of that character. It's kind of hard to say. um, just to be in the universe of Batman in any shape or form. I mean, doing Long Halloween was a gas.
No, it's fantastic. I'm so excited you shared those tidbits about Mr. Reddick. I love learning more about him and his relationships that he had with everybody. Titus, thank you so much for amazing Bosch for years and more years to come. I'm hoping for it. But I just want to thank you so much for your time and hope we can nerd out again.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.